And so at this point, I want to switch to our topic for this hour's session, which is on our community development and engagement program. This is part of our mandate from NSF to provide a ongoing peer-reviewed and competitive process for supporting new projects within the region that address that community building mission. So just briefly, we view this program as being an incubator kind of project. So we're starting projects that are at the sort of seed phase, looking at new opportunities, bringing in new folks to the community who may not have participated before or are historically underrepresented in these activities, and really developing partnerships between those groups and the Midwest Big Data Hub. We'd like these activities to be really driven by the needs of those particular communities and led in part by those community members, so that we have that close connection to the needs and the interests of that particular group of people. What we're trying to do here is really lower the barriers to folks getting engaged with new communities, new activities, and doing that by providing support in different ways, mostly in-kind support, but also some financial support as well. We can talk more about the details of that later if there's time, but we do have much more information about this program on our website, and we'll be happy to hear from you if you have interests in proposing projects. We have an open call right now for new proposals for this program, and so happy to have questions in the chat as we go along about this program. Again, I won't step through all of these projects, but this is our current portfolio of projects that we are supporting and partnering with other folks on. We'll hear from some of those today and some tomorrow as well in our second session. So I think at this point, I will stop sharing. We can again get into any of these details that folks would like to talk through later in the session, but at this point we'll transition to our main discussion of the partners who we have on the call today. I don't have a particular order in mind, and so let's take a look at who we've got joining us today. So I see Monica Brown from St. Catherine University. I see Anita Frederick from the Tribal Nations Research Group, along with her partner, Aaron Bergstrom. Monica, are you ready to go at this point if we turn it over to you?
Hi, sure. Yes, I can. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monica Brown, and I am the inaugural Program Director of Data Science here at St. Catherine University in St. Paul, Minnesota. And what we're doing as a seed project for the Midwest Big Data Hub, it's titled Data Science at St. Kate's by Women for Women. So St. Catherine University is a women's undergraduate institution. And we first started a undergraduate data science major back in the fall of 2018. And the mission of our program, Data Science at St. Kate's, we want to increase the number of women and underrepresented data scientists so that they may serve individuals and communities by employing data science in ethically, socially, and environmentally just ways. We're going to take a two-pronged approach for this project. One, the first prong is to develop a data visualization or some kind of data science, data analytics curriculum that is compelling and engaging to young individuals who identify as women, particularly young women of color, and possibly create some kind of PSEO, post-secondary education option with a course as well. The second prong is we are going to establish a data science boot camp for the summer of 2022. The programming will be for middle and high school students. And really the idea behind this is to give them a chance to see themselves as students at St. Kate's and to have engaging activities to ignite the enthusiasm and passion around coding and data science. Finally, the outcomes and impacts we hope to make with this project. We know we have anecdotal evidence as well as research studies that have shown us that students are encouraged to pursue their passions and dreams when they see someone who looks like them doing what they like and what they want to do. So the goal of both of these proposal ideas is to expose more students in our community to the world of data science and to encourage them to follow their passions. That's all I have.
Great. Thanks very much, Monica. Very glad to hear about your project. We've been, this is one of the newer awards that we have made just this year. And so we are working with Monica and her team to get these activities planned and ready to go. I think we want to move next to the Tribal Nations Research Group team with Anita, Frederick, and Aaron Bergstrom. We will have time for questions and discussion amongst all of these projects later in the session. But if folks are wondering about how to get engaged with any of these projects, feel free to post questions in the chat as we go along the way here. Anita, I'll turn it over to you to begin talking about your project.
Our project is basically tribal community development engagement for digital agriculture and big data. And there's 3 of us who are partnered in this project. Myself through Tribal Nations Research Group, Aaron Bergstrom out of the University of North Dakota, and William Elderholt from, I hope I said that right, Grand Farm. Our project, what we wanted to do is really engage the Midwest Native stakeholders. So 30% of the Native population in the US is located in the Midwest. 20 of the 37 of tribal community colleges and universities are also located in the Midwest. And the Midwest Big Data Hub is well positioned to engage these tribal stakeholders. So we were just like really interested in engaging in data science education and workforce development. So this is also especially true in the context of digital agriculture, where many of our tribal colleges and universities are working with their local governments to identify and develop agriculture programs and educational opportunities to Native farmers and ranchers. Where TNRG really becomes important in this mix is that we're basically a data management entity for our tribe and for other tribes. So some of the information and resources that will be produced by the workshop will be managed with the principles of Native data sovereignty as outlined by the U.S. Indigenous Data Sovereignty Network. And there's a site here. And basically what Indigenous data sovereignty is, it's the right of a tribal nation to govern the collection, ownership, and application of its own data. It derives from tribes' inherent right to govern their people's land and resources. So we thought this was a really great opportunity to really just expand on the data sovereignty part, and then also like engage tribes in collecting data and using data for some of their own uses and benefits. So the objectives of the workshop will be, and the presentations will be to basically draw from the tribal college and government stakeholders from across Indian country, both regionally and nationally. The workshop will focus on communication. So the need for like communicating what is our need for data science education and workforce development, and to use the proper data management and data sovereignty standards has applied to digital agriculture research in governed areas. And some examples maybe could be like research on wild rice, traditional foods, those types of things. So it's going to be interesting to get into some of those discussions. The workshop will hopefully accomplish this by presentations from Tribal Nations Research Group, Midwest Big Data Hub, Digital Ag Community Leadership, Midwest Data Hub Leadership and Data Carpentry Programs, and then the Grand Farm and Emerging Prairies. Here's our agenda. It's basically just a lot of discussion and presentations. We're gonna have a presentation from the Native cohort of the Emerging Prairie Entrepreneurship Program panel, which is really exciting. And our draw to the workshop, hopefully, is going to be the hemp marijuana agriculture production and discussion by Grand Farm. And one of our major goals is that we want to really create some partnerships in submitting an NSF proposal between tribal colleges to the tribal colleges and universities program, and kind of just develop some partnerships through there and through other National Science Foundation grant funded programs. Our outcomes and impacts. So I guess we really want to have this bigger participation. Oftentimes tribes like come in late in the game, so we're trying to get them in to participate in some of these discussions up front. So hopefully we have some tribal stakeholder participation, not only in the Midwest Big Data Hub digital ag community, but also in Big Data Hub's activities nationwide, and the development of a data science workforce and education proposal for Native communities targeting the NSF TCUP program. And then TNRG will coordinate those discussions after the workshop, and we'll just have some of the workshop. We will hope to have some of the workshop organizers commit to submitting such a proposal to NSF TCUP within 6 months of the workshop. Aaron, do you have anything else to add to this section?
Well, other than I think I think the wording on that last bullet point is a little bit odd, in that we're actually hoping that the tribal colleges will take ownership and leadership on the proposal submission.
Yeah. We just TNRG will be that catalyst. I'll try to keep pushing them to become partners and develop some of the projects that need to be developed. And then about the media, the workshop media, some of the sessions will be recorded, but also in some of the discussions about data sovereignty and culturally sensitive won't be recorded. Our big discussions will focus around traditional foods, recipes, growing practices, and how they're intimately tied to the culture of the Native people. And the availability of the workshop recordings will be restricted to private Facebook group users, just because a lot of discussions sometimes are so unique to tribes, and without that protection for them, sometimes we have a lot of times we have a hard time for people to open up and have those discussions. So it's just kind of inappropriate sometimes. And just really quick, a little bit about TNRG. We're a nonprofit organization located in Belcourt, North Dakota, which is on the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Reservation. We started back in about 2013 as a research organization, basically to regulate to manage what research is coming into the reservation. There was really nobody managing that, so that was kind of a free-for-all. And so we approached our tribal government to kind of oversee that piece of it. And since then, TNRG has really grown more into a data center for our tribe, and we work on a lot of tribal projects, tribal planning projects, do a lot of community assessments, data analysis, And our hope, we just recently received some funding through ANA, HHS, ANA to develop a full-on tribal data center. So we're really excited about that, and that's moving along quite quickly. So I know I talked really fast. That's, if you want to add anything, go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, so our partner, our other nonprofit partner on this is, as Anita mentioned, is Grand Farm, and they work closely with Microsoft, which is has a large facility in Fargo, and so the intent is to actually have this workshop at the Microsoft campus, and they've agreed to help host the workshop. So I think it'll be an interesting workshop, and I think we'll have a good variety of data discussions there, and I just think I think it's high profile enough that we'll having it at Microsoft plus the other items there that of interest to the groups around the region about greenhouse IoT and hemp farming is going to be a big draw to the native to TCUs and tribal government stakeholders.
Great, thank you both very much. We're going to move on to Edward Waisanen from University of Michigan.
Yeah, so I'm Ed Waisanen. I'm the program and platform manager at an initiative called Gala that's based out of the University of Michigan School for Environment and Sustainability. I can change slides. So we're focused on case-based approaches to environment sustainability issues, environment sustainability learning, and through our work, we've created an online tool for authoring and teaching with case studies. You can check it out. It's open and free to use, called learngala.com. And we emphasize in our work openness, experimentation, and collaboration. So thanks to some support from MBDH, we've been able to launch this Learning Innovation Fellows program that's really centered around ways that we can use data to enrich case studies that already exist by adding data components, sort of focused on the learning that's meant to take place through the use of the case study being augmented by these components, but then also how can we teach data skills for environment and sustainability in this interdisciplinary context where you have people coming from different disciplines. So each of our fellows are matched with a case study or a need for a case study in progress, as well as a faculty advisor. We facilitate, it's primarily peer learning, and we support a process of iterative feedback with the fellows. We support exchange in between the fellows, and we provide kind of a support as they go out and do independent learning. So we also focus on capturing the insights and the resources that in that learning fellows are finding, and we compile all those and we make them available in webinars and lists of resources for the fellows. So we, I think we really provide an opportunity to build skills that kind of complement in the margins around these technical skills that students are coming in with. So things like how do you, work together and manage versions? How do you find data that's specific to environment sustainability needs? And how do you work with the clients and develop things iteratively? So we just launched our second cohort this fall. We have 5 students, a range of different levels from these colleges. So a number of universities across, within the MBDH region. And they come from a variety of different backgrounds in terms of what they're studying. So they're paired with, these are just the case studies they're paired with. These are all available on learngala.com. But you can see the kind of range of questions and issues at play here. They're using a number of different tools. We have some systems modeling with a case that's focused on ecology. We're building out some Python tools. This improving distribution systems through flushing is interesting. It's with small municipalities, and how can they learn from, learn to use their data that they obtain through these flushing programs. So we have a student who's building out ways to present that data and then allow the actual utilities to play around with it, as well as creating this module that will then be used to teach incoming students focused on water distribution. And the faculty are also from a range of different backgrounds. So a couple of ways that we're kind of now taking this experience that we've had with the MBDH Learning Innovation Fellows Program and applying it to these other collaborations and partnerships. There's this DChem project, which is focused on distributed solar energy harvesting for carbon-free ammonia synthesis. Don't ask me how they're doing that precisely. It's above my head, but as they're building out these innovations, they also are going to have student fellows who are documenting that process and creating cases along with them that focus on those issues. We also, I just had mentioned the flushing programs case, so that's now going to, I believe there'll be a number of fellows who will actually work on building out these case studies, which will then be used with this network of municipalities. So if you want to find out more, Rebecca Harden is our faculty advisor, director in charge. That's my email, and you can always find out more about us at learngala.com. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ed. That was a project that we supported last year, and so they have had a chance to have one cohort of students already go through that activity, and we've learned a lot from that, and it's great to see the second cohort starting this fall as well. Next up, we have Franco De Lugo from Lawrence Technological University in Michigan to talk about a project that also started last year, focused on neuroscience, but I think you'll see some interesting overlaps between the project that Ed talked about and Monica's, as well as this project as well. So take it away, Franco, whenever you're ready.
Franco, oh, there you
Hey
go.
everybody. So I think now, am I sharing the screen correctly? Do you see the screen, or which?
Yes, looks good.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm here to talk about an integration between course-based research experience and computational online platform. It's called Brain Life. In order to make STEM, and in particular data science, neuroscience, data science, more accessible to all students. I would start by saying that the proportion of dropouts in academia are not the same in different racial and ethnic populations. And we see that there is a disproportionate higher number of Black and Latina students dropping out from universities. So now, in order to solve this problem, we know that undergraduate research experience works. And especially, we are convinced that an inclusive model in which all the classroom participate in original research activities is better than an exclusive model in which only one person, for example, in the summertime goes, is a host institution or volunteers to do extra work in order to have an original research experience. So for this reason, with support of HHMI, we started in 2017 to transform the art and science curriculum to nurture inclusive excellence in STEM through course-based research experience. And this process is very interesting because there is no selection, no self-selection, no extra curriculum time, and the students own their own research, right? Because they decide in many cases what they do, and when they have results, they can publish the results with their faculty. If you are curious about this program, you can go and check our website. So now, the original thing, this is not, we did not invent this, right? But what is really original at Lawrence Tech is that the scale and heterogeneity of the program scale, more than 40 courses and more than 30 instructors participated and are still participating in this initiative in many different disciplines, including non-STEM disciplines like literature, philosophy, and but also many STEM initiatives like computer science, mathematics, physics, in my case, psychology and neuroscience. So we have different models. We can have only a single session in a course, multiple session of course research experience in a course, or the entire class can be dedicated to research. And generally, this is we start with exploring questions, designing and planning a paradigm, conduct research, and disseminate results. Now, why I'm saying this in this context? Because it's really interesting to relate CRE in virtual spaces. Now, if you consider CRE in physical spaces, you have a reduced amount of people, a reduced amount of data, a reduced amount of diversity, a reduced amount of resources, and a reduced amount of collaboration. While if you take this thing and you move to virtual spaces, then you can have much more, you can affect more people, you can use more data, you can affect more diverse people. And so this is really important to improve the possibility of STEM students. So now what we have done is to integrate the CRE model with a BrainLive computing platform, mostly because neuroscience data are inaccessible generally. Why? Because the data fMRI acquisition costs a lot of money, between $300 and $1,000 per hour. Data are usually used only once, and then they rest in a digital repository forever. And most colleges do not have access to imaging facilities at all. And data acquisition is limited to faculty and graduate students in most cases. So now with BrainLive, we have the possibility to have these cloud computing resources with a lot of computational power that is very often reduced in primarily teaching institutions. We have the access to online repositories. We can do big data analysis with a lot of brains. We can do data mining, and we can use environments we can co-teach and co-learn between different institutions, right? So now, with the support of the Community Development and Engagement Project by the Midwest Big Data Hub, we were able to create a course, a pilot course at LTU that we ran in spring 2021. And we are now trying to expand the initiative by writing grants that expand the initiative first in the Metro Detroit area and then virtually to the entire country. So this is what I show here is a poster of the pilot course that we realized with my wonderful students. Very little amount of students, but it was great experience. I learned a lot. They learned a lot, I believe. And that's it. It's just this is what I wanted to present. Thank you.
Thanks.
If you have any questions, just write me an email or something. I will be happy to know more about your needs and how to integrate and collaborate.
Thanks very much, Franco. Very interesting overview. It's great to see how much progress you guys have made over the past year on this program. We do have time for Q&A and discussion amongst the panelists who presented today and the audience here. If you have questions about any of these projects, if you have questions about how to get engaged with any of them, feel free to post those in the chat, raise your hand. I'm happy to unmute you and we can have that discussion. I think while we're waiting for that, I'll mention that there are some obvious synergies amongst these projects and some clear examples of the kind of capacity building that we're trying to do in the region. Lots of examples of data science education today in these activities. We may not be doing instruction directly with students, but what we're trying to do is focus on building that capacity for instructors to, have access to neuroscience materials, have access to sustainability case studies that have data embedded in them, other kinds of opportunities for faculty to develop their instructional materials, their curriculum, their teaching ability in data science. And so really trying to grow the community of data science instruction in the Midwest and the resources that are available to them to use. We're also trying to, grow the hub community beyond R1 institutions and really push out into the larger academic community and other organizations, the work that has been done. So most of the projects that you heard from today include some outreach to smaller institutions, primarily undergrad institutions, two-year schools, tribal colleges and universities, other minority serving institutions. So that is a big part of the outreach that we are doing as a part of that community building. Other questions, comments that folks have, how can we help you understand this work? If you have questions about the program itself and how you might get involved in that, we're happy to address those as well. I'll open it up to our panelists here today. You've all gone through this the CDE process. You've submitted proposals. You have that work underway. What would you recommend to folks who are interested in developing a new activity like this that we can help incubate? What would you give them for advice in terms of how to approach that process now that you've gone through those discussions with your partners and you've come up with a concept? What would you advise other folks who are interested in doing that? Happy to have input from Monica, Anita, Franco, Ed.
Well, this is Aaron. I would say that the process of actually submitting the idea was not difficult. I mean, everybody, if that sometimes we think about writing proposals and feel like proposal writing is a bit overwhelming. And I would say, even though we had to provide, detailed budget information and things like that, the overall length of the proposal is fairly short. And so I think if you have a good idea and you have a good idea of what the budget's going to look like, I'd say it is worthwhile putting together a proposal and submitting it. It's the process of writing the proposal is not that difficult.
This is Anita. I think that also the feedback you get from the center is helpful. So even if it's not fully developed, it helps to submit it once and get some feedback.
That's great. Thank you both for that. Are you able to see my slides at this point?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So yeah, I'm putting up some of the elements that we have for the very low effort kind of proposals that we're looking for. We're basically wanting to know what kind of concept you're interested in developing, a very brief project plan, or if it's an event, what kind of agenda you're interested in having. And then how the hub can help you in supporting that activity. Really, those are the main new kinds of content that we're looking for there. So we've tried to make that a very easy process for folks to complete. This is not a full NSF proposal. This is more like a workshop level kind of proposal. I'll give you a little sense of what kinds of things we're looking for going forward. We would like to have this be a Midwest focused activity, but we do have projects with partners from outside the region as well. We are still obviously in pandemic mode, and so looking at activities that are either virtual or hybrid through the end of next year. Hoping to be able to have in-person activities before that. And just giving you some ideas at the bottom of the slide here about the kinds of activities that we've either already supported or are interested in supporting as well. So hopefully that gives you some sense of the kinds of projects that we're working on. I'm looking for other questions or hands in the chat here who would like to ask questions or address any of these points. Talk a little bit about the kind of support that we make available. So a lot of this is in kind. Things like helping with outreach and engagement, helping with communications activities for events that you're running, project coordination, project management kinds of support. We have those capabilities within the Hub Executive Director Office, and we're happy to contribute those to your project to help you be successful. Things like participant support for events, planning and logistics for events, all of that we're happy to do. We do provide some salary support for folks at small institutions who do not really have any other way to support particular activities. As I said, we're trying to really elevate smaller institutions and historically underrepresented institutions in the data science world, and that is one way that we can do that. Talk a little bit about the review criteria, since you know that that should give you a sense of what to address in your proposals, for example. So, you know, looking at this in alignment with the Hub's priority areas and themes that we talked about earlier. In particular, how does this activity bring in new participants from the region who may not have participated in Hub activities before, so that we're, again, growing the community and building capacity. Are there opportunities to bring in cross-sector partners, so industry partners or government agencies who may be able to participate as well? And then, you know, sustainability. We're in a model where we're trying to incubate new activities, but help them grow and become sustaining if that's what the community is looking for. We're certainly we welcome one-time events where that makes sense to do that, but we're also very happy to support activities that are ongoing that we can help grow to maturity as well. So keep those in mind if you have interests in proposing a project to this program. As I said, the call is open now, and we're accepting proposals at any time. Just ask that you reach out and give us a sentence or two about your interest there, and we'll be happy to engage on that. So we have a few minutes left here before we switch to our next session, which will be a panel of federal agency representatives to talk about funding opportunities and other data science activities at the federal level. So any last questions here before we switch to that panel? All right, I don't see any other questions in the chat. So I'll go ahead and thank our presenters today. This was great to hear from you all. I would like to encourage audience members to reach out to the Hub or to the presenters today if you're interested in pursuing further engagement with any of those projects. And, you know, we do intend to have the projects talk together and look across those project boundaries for synergies and places that they could collaborate as well. So we'll continue that discussion in the future amongst that team. I'll remind you that we have a second session like this tomorrow. That will be in the 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern time slot, where we'll hear from more of the projects that we have supported both last year and this year.